Okay, hey everyone, this is Crazy Talk. I was going to upload a video about medication. That was going to be my next video because I've just started a new set of medication and I just wanted to talk about that. However, I found something yesterday that has enraged me on a fuck ton of levels. So I thought I would talk about that instead because it is still relevant. Some of the points do kind of deviate from the mental health theme of this blog, but I digress. If you haven't already heard, Justin Bieber has been caught by paparazzi, blah blah blah, smoking weed. And this has set the believers into a insane frenzy of, well, they're distraught that Justin Bieber would smoke weed. Quite frankly, I don't like Justin Bieber, first of all. I don't like it, I don't really give a shit. But I don't blame him for smoking weed if he's got fans who are cutting themselves over him smoking weed. And this has been trending on Twitter, and it's, hashtag cut for Bieber, and people are uploading pictures of, they're self-harming, to tell Justin Bieber to stop, in protest of Justin Bieber smoking weed. And, sorry, give me a moment. It baffles me, it really does, and it makes me so angry in so many different ways. First of all, this wasn't even started genuinely. The cut for Bieber thing started out as a hoax by 4chan, namely B. Now, I don't use 4chan, but I've seen B plenty of times. I know exactly what happens on B, and I will hold my hands up. Some of the stuff that happens on there is pretty funny. I've laughed. However, getting vulnerable girls, young girls, to cut themselves, to self-harm, over Justin Bieber is just so wrong. This has gone beyond trolling. This is cruel and evil and despicable. It's just, I mean, one of the other things that annoys me is, where are the parents in this? The parents should be able to give their kids, a firm grounding. And I can imagine that the people who started this, people on B, who even agree with it, are saying, we're just trying to show people the breakdown of the family and this, that, and the other. And okay, fine, but that still doesn't excuse you of the fact that you have been an utter bellend. There's some things. I mean, they did do a little while ago. They tried to convince people that Justin Bieber had cancer. And again, you shouldn't really make fun of cancer. But getting young girls to shave their heads, you can kind of see the humour in that, especially because it's not going to leave permanent scars. Hair grows back. If they're stupid enough to shave their head, it's still pretty bad taste, but it's not that damaging. However, the self-harm, too far. I mean, there's no point saying that B crossed the line, because in B's eyes there is no line. But this is just absolutely horrible, and this is one of the main things that really horrifies me. Is I will admit, I do know that people have been killing themselves because of this, but to the people who have just found pictures of self-harm and uploaded them to Twitter and claiming them as their own, that's just as bad. Because, I'm quite lucky in the fact that even though I do self-harm, I'm not triggered by seeing other pictures of self-harm. I have a Tumblr, and I've seen pictures of self-harm on the internet. Doesn't faze me, doesn't bother me. But there are some people out there, there are a lot of people out there who are triggered by pictures of self-harm, by cuts, by blood. People just don't think. And to the girls who have done this, you imagine that, there could be people sat at their computer. They are in recovery. They've not self-harmed for a few days, maybe a few weeks, maybe a couple of months, and they're doing really well. But they're struggling. That particular day, someone said something to them, or for even no reason at all, they kind of feel a little bit shit. And all of a sudden they go on Twitter and they see your pictures of you self-harming for Justin Bieber. Boom. That you've just caused someone else to relapse. And that's sickening. Also, I don't know what these girls are going to, or what they think they're trying to achieve because of this. If, again, hypothetical situation, say if your best friend came up to you and they pulled their sleeve up and they showed you an armful of bloody cuts and they said, I did this because you wouldn't come to the cinema with me, or because you've been hanging out with Stacy more often than you have me, and I don't like that, and I want you to change, or I saw that you were smoking a cigarette, and I don't think that's right, and as your friend I'm telling you to stop. And they did that, you would flip the fuck out, and also you would feel like shit, because you would then feel like you've caused someone to hurt themselves. I don't know what these people are trying to achieve by cutting themselves. Justin Bieber is not going to just look at this and go, oh, well maybe I should stop. I can't even imagine what he's thinking right now. He must feel so shit. And to be honest, that boy probably needs a fucking spliff to get himself through this. So, okay. I'm just going to have another drink of tea because this is really, really relevant. Okay. One of the other aspects that I wanted to talk about was, in 10, 20 years' time, if people were to ask me, I mean, I do have scars on my arm. If someone were to ask me about the scars, I could say I've had problems with mental illness and self-harm, and hopefully in that time I can say I'm in recovery and I'm doing pretty well. Can you imagine if these girls have scars? A lot of them will. And people ask them why, and they say that it was for this Justin Bieber trend. It's the most ridiculous thing in the world. And also, I really do hope that people don't take any steps backward with regards to attitudes to self-harm. I'm not saying that there's been massive progress in the attitudes and the prejudices as far as mental health and self-harm. I mean, there has been some progress, but not leaps and bounds, baby steps. I just really, really hope that this doesn't set us 10 steps back, because that would really not help. It would not help the fact that there are people out there with legitimate mental health problems, conditions that are diagnosed by doctors, people are given treatment for. This is going to set people back to the, oh, you're cutting for attention, you're cutting to look edgy. Just, please, if you see somebody with self-harm scars, or you find out that someone self-harms, do not automatically assume. Just stop and think for a while, okay? That's really all I have to say on the matter. I could talk about this for hours. I could rage about this forever. But I'm not going to. I'm going to leave it here. So, this is Crazy Talk. Have a lovely day.